So right now I have negative 10x plus 3y equals 1. And then I have negative 5x minus 6y equals 23. Well, I need to multiply one of these equations so that I have two of the same number that'll cancel out. So I can choose to multiply this equation, or I can multiply the top equation, either one, because when I multiply it by a whole number, I'm going to multiply everything in the equation by that number. So it's still the same equation, it's just a different multiple of it. So I'm going to choose to multiply this equation by 2, because that'll give me 5 times 2 gives me 10, but it's already it's a negative, so I'm going to multiply it by negative 2 so that it becomes positive 10. Okay, so I'm going to multiply this whole equation by negative 2. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to rewrite it. So negative 2 times negative 5 gives me 10x. Negative 2 times negative 6 gives me positive 12. And negative 2 times 23 gives me negative 46. Then I'm going to bring this equation down so that they're stacked on top of each other and it's easier to work with. Okay, now I'm going to add them together. 10 plus a negative 10, 0. 12 plus 3, 15y. Negative 46 plus 1, negative 45. Now I'm going to get y by itself and divide both sides by 15. These cancel and I get y equals negative 3. Now I'm going to solve for x by substituting y back into either equation. I'm going to choose to do the top equation, but you can do either one and you will get the same answer. So negative 10x plus 3 times negative 3 equals 1. Negative 10x, oops. And then 3 times a negative 3 gives me negative 9 equals 1. Add 9 to both sides. Get negative 10x equals 10. Divide by negative 10. X equals negative 1. So my answer is negative 1 comma negative 3. So to review, I multiplied my bottom equation by negative 2 so that I had a variable that would cancel out. I could have multiplied this top equation by 2 as well, and the 6's or the y's would cancel out. You can choose to do it however you want, cancel out whatever variable you would like. Then I simplified, solved for y, plugged y back into the first equation to solve for x. Don't you worry, I'm going to do another example. Okay, so this one, I have 3x plus 2y equals negative 2, and negative 6x minus 5y equals 2. So I can choose to, well, this one, my only option is to multiply the top by 2 to get 6, because I can't multiply 2 by anything to get 5. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by 2 so that my 6's will cancel out. 2 times 3 gives me 6x. 2 times 2y gives me 4y. 2 times negative 2 gives me negative 4. Now I have my new equation and my old equation, and I'm going to add them together. Negative 6 plus positive 6, 0, or cancel, whatever you want. Negative 5 plus 4 gives me negative y. 2 minus 4 gives me negative 2. Divide both sides by negative 1 so that I have a positive y. And I get y equals 2. Now I'm going to plug y in to solve for x. And I'm going to use the top equation because they're positive numbers and I like positive. So 3x plus 2 times 2 equals negative 2. 3x plus 4 equals negative 2. Subtract 4. And they cancel. 3x equals negative 6. Divide by 3. X equals negative 2. My answer is negative 2, comma 2. All right. Are we following, or did I lose anyone at a certain step you need me to go over? Solving or multiplying it, solving for y, or solving for x? Is anyone confused anywhere? You can just say redo 1, redo 2, redo 3. No? Okay, I'm going to do one more. Just because I feel like the more you see it, the more examples, the easier it'll make it, hopefully. So I'm going to multiply my top equation to get my x's to cancel out. I'm going to multiply it by negative 4, because then I'll have a positive 4 and a negative 4, and they will cancel. So 4 times x, I'm going to rewrite it down here, gives me negative 4x. 4y times negative 4y, negative 16y. And 22 times negative 4 gives me negative 88. All right. Now I'm going to add these equations together. 4 minus 4x cancels. Y minus 16y. And so 16 minus 1 would give me negative 15. And then 13 plus negative 88 gives me negative 75. Divide both sides by negative 15. And those cancel and I get y equals 5. Now I'm going to solve for x. All right. So my answer is 2, comma 5. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a story problem example and then let you guys have time to work on the homework. So it says a business with 2 locations, location A and location B. So I'm going to set that up, location A and location B. They bought 7 delivery vans and 5 large delivery vans and 5 small delivery vans. Location A got 5 large vans and 2 small vans for $235,000, and B received 2 large vans and 3 small vans for $160,000. What is the cost of each type of van? So I'm trying to figure out how much a small van costs and how much a large van costs. So I'm going to have my large vans be X and my small vans be Y. So location A got 5 large vans, so 5X, because X is my large vans, and 2 small vans, so 2Y, because 2 small vans. Let me rewrite my Y, because it's kind of hard to see the difference. Okay, and it cost them $235,000. I'm just going to use 235 and then add in the zeros later because I like to deal with smaller numbers. And it's all positive, nothing was taken away. Okay, location B received 2 large vans, so 2X, and 3 small vans, so 3Y. And they bought them for $160,000. Just going to take the zeros off now. I'll add them back in later. Okay, so I have 2 equations set up, and now I'm going to do elimination that we just were working on. So what can I multiply to get the same numbers that I can cancel out? So 5 and 2 and 3 and 2. So 5 and 2, the least common multiple is 10. And 3 and 2, the least common multiple is 6. So I'm going to have to multiply both equations. So you might come across this in your homework where you have to multiply both equations to get something to cancel out. So I'm going to multiply both of them. And you can multiply by different numbers. So I'm going to multiply the equation A by 3 and the equation B by 2 so that my y's will cancel out, and then I'm going to make this one negative. So now I'm going to rewrite them as 3 times 5 is 15x, 3 times 2 is 6y, and then 3 times 235, I have to do it in a calculator, gives me 705. Now I'm going to do bottom one. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4x. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6y. And 160 times 2 is negative 320. Okay, now I'm going to add them together and eliminate a variable. So I'm going to eliminate my y. 15 minus 4 gives me 9x. And 705 minus 320 gives me 385. Now I'm going to divide by 9. It's not. 15 minus 4 is not 9. It's 11. I'm sorry. I'm going to divide by 11. And then x will be 35. Okay? So I've solved for x. Now I'm going to solve for y by using this equation and plugging in x. So solving for y. 2 times 35 plus 3y equals 160. 35 times 2 gives me 70 plus 3y equals 160 minus 70 from both sides. I get 3y equals 90. And then divide by 3. And I get y equals 30. So x was 35, y was 30. But remember, I took the zeros off, so now I'm going to add 3 zeros to both of them. And my final answer is 35,000 for a large van and 30,000 for a small van, which checks out. All right, so that is the homework, or that is the lesson, and now the rest of class is yours to work on.